Josh,
I'm just being
have you ever fallen through a roof?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Actually,
If there wasn't an OSHA agent ever,
yeah.
did you ever fall through a roof?
Not all the way through, but almost all the way through. I went up to my hips.
Ooh, how'd that happen? Were your legs dangling over a guy eating cereal or something?
No, they were dangling over an empty house, and I had told the guy that he needed to replace his whole roof and probably redeck the roof. And
He definitely had to redeck it after he fell through it.
That's what I told him. I was like, if you didn't before, you do now. I went out to do the inspection, and I was measuring the roof, and I had my clipboard in one hand. And at first, I was being really careful and really cautious, and I was walking very carefully across the roof. And then there was a box vent that as I was measuring, I got more confident, and I took this big step over the box vent, and I just did not stop coming down. It was like the roof just went underneath me. And I went through and caught myself, I threw myself backwards, and I held myself up on the roof and had my legs dangling through, and finally kicked the drywall and everything away from my legs and pulled myself back up. And the homeowner was like, "What happened?" And I said, "I just went through your roof." And he goes, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess we'll fix it." And I asked him if he wanted to buy the roof. I got to the end of it and said, "You need a new roof." And he said, "Okay, well, we'll think about it." And I was like, "You're an idiot."
Did you sell it?
No. You kidding me? A guy doesn't want to replace a roof right there on the spot when you've gone through the roof. It's probably still like that. It probably collapsed. The house is probably a pile of sawdust and termites right now.
Speaking of termites, what's the scariest animal experience you've had while in the roofing industry?
Yellow jackets.
Did you
I put a ladder up to a house, and when I hit the side, it popped up over a ridge vent. It was a one-story, thank God. The ladder hit the side of the ridge vent, and I climbed up just to do my inspection, and as I stepped over the ridge vent and was walking, I just heard this loud buzzing sound behind me, and I turned around, and I saw these hundreds of yellow jackets just pouring out out of the ridge vent. They had a nest inside. It was one of those old aluminum ridge vents, and they came out like this giant cloud, and I looked at them, and I was like, and they were all over my ladder at that point. And I was like, oh, crap. So I ran to the edge of the roof and looked over, and there was this bank that was built up on that side. And I just took a couple steps back and ran and jumped.
I was filming Kevin at that St. Peter's church,
Yep.
and he was up on the lift because we had to go all the way to the top. And so I'm on the ground, and I'm filming, but he's mic'd up so I can kind of hear him, and 300 flies fly out of the metal. But I'm so far down, I thought they were wasps. I was like, Kevin's done for. He's in his lift. I'm gonna have to crawl up there and get him.
You're gonna get him down. It's like, beep.
Kevin's just screaming. You ever had any animal experience?
Actually, mine is very similar to his. So I was on a commercial roof inspection. It was a big 2.5-story, but they had a 1-story that it was the entrance. It was just a big block building, and they had an entrance that was standing seam that went around like this and had one hip, and then it went up like that where the front door was. It was like a overhang porch type situation, but the roof went up to the top of the parapet wall. So
Rookie mistake.
Fail. But yeah, so I got on the standing seam roof, which you should never do, by the way. Don't walk on slippery standing seam roofs. And I was walking up the hip, straddling it, and all of a sudden, this is slippery, it's steep. It was probably a 9/12 pitch, which is another stupid thing. And wasps start coming out of the hip cap right there. I can't do anything. If I'm going to slide off the roof, and if I go up, I'm up on the roof, and I go down. So I just start going back down, and you can't even move fast. So luckily there's only 2 or 3 of them, and I actually didn't even get stung that time. But it could have been really, really bad because there was nowhere to go, nowhere fast. I would have died. I would have just fallen through.
We had a family friend named Joe Reuter growing up, and he was a painter, and I can vividly remember the noises he was making because he was up on this big ladder painting an A-frame. And he was getting stung, and I could just remember him going, "Oh, oh," and he just kept painting. He's like, "Oh, no!" It's the noises. I was like, he was just like, "No, they'll go away."
Oh my gosh,
he's a crazy guy.
Was this at 4 o'clock in the afternoon?
Oh, it was pouring sweat, and I don't know,
slightly inebriated.
Yeah, rest in peace, Joe. No, he's not. He's fine. What's We've had a lot of people lately, and this is a specific question to you, call and ask for us to come check out their roof after they've already got it installed by another contractor because of some sort of trust value. What do you think about that? So like, there's some sort of, they hired them maybe for lower prices or whatever it was, but we're coming back out. They're asking us to come back out and check out this roof because they don't trust their contractor. What would you have to say about that?
One, I guarantee you they went with somebody that gave them the lowest possible quote. The price probably looked really good to them, so good that they went ahead and purchased it. I had a friend of mine call me a couple weeks ago and ask me about this quote that I had heard from another guy. And I can't remember who I heard it from. I just know I heard it from another guy. And it basically goes like this. The bitter taste of poor quality remains long after the sweetness of low price is forgotten. And we're going to see a ton of that this year. We're going to see a ton of that this year because of what happened last year. We had a ton of storms that crushed our area. There were, at the time of last year, when the year started, there were about 288 roofing contractors within 55 miles of where we operate. Well, that dramatically changed when all the storms hit last year. We probably saw 100 to 150 new roofing contractors just pop up because they wanted to take advantage of the insurance influx, the money that's flowing in because of the storms. And what happens is a lot of those guys come in and they hire these roofing crews that don't know what they're doing. They're doing the same thing. They're coming up here from Alabama, Texas, Georgia, all over the place, just trying to look for wherever there's the most work. And they're doing work for cheap because they're just trying to get as much as they can. So we have a lot of poor quality roofs that were put on, people not paying attention to replacing flashing, replacing sealant, doing the ventilation correctly. And now you've got homeowners that are 6 months to a year later. They've gone through a cycle of snow and a cycle of rain, and we're getting ready to get into the rainy season where they're going to hit even more rain coming in. I got a feeling that we're going to get even more calls from people who have had poor roofs put on, and they can't get a hold of those companies. Those companies, yeah, they're a flash in the pan. They gave them a tail light warranty. As long as you can see my tail light, you got a warranty. And these customers are unfortunately going to feel that over the next couple months. They're going to call the number that they were given. They're going to get a busy signal, or they're going to get, oh, I'm sorry, we're no longer in that line of business. It's going to be awful for the customers, but I mean, we're there to take care of them. It's what we do.
So, Ethan, with the insurance game, this is somebody that's new. I'm a homeowner. So, like, storms come through. I think we had like 2 or 3 big ones. Everybody pretty much has 2 or 3 of the same insurance people. What do you forecast happening with the insurance? Like, are they going to keep covering roofs? As somebody who doesn't know the roofing game as much, I'm newer. Like, insurance just can't keep paying out of pocket in the Midwest for storms happening. Like, what's going to happen?
So we're already seeing a major shift in the insurance game where deductibles are getting higher. And then Allstate specifically, I know for a fact, they've moved their, I think it's 15 years, over 15 years, and then sometimes with no notice at all, they move their homeowners to an ACV policy, which is basically like at 15 years, we're only going to give you 50% of the value of your roof if you have any damage. And homeowners, most of the time, they don't know, or they just see the low premium on the way in, and they're like, oh, yeah, this is great, And then they tell all their buddies. Here's the ignorance of it is the agent doesn't explain it to them, so they tell their buddies, you should go with them because they give really cheap rates, and they have no idea that what happens is in the event of a loss, you don't really get a lot of money. You hate your agent because they didn't tell you. You hate your adjuster because he didn't pay you. And then we as the contractor get the backlash because we're stuck in this place in the middle, which really we shouldn't be, but like, can you do it for much less? Because I don't have the finances to pay more. So a major shift in deductibles is going to 2, 3, 4. We've seen 5% deductibles, as well as insurance not paying full checks for roofs. And it's hurting the end consumer.
Is that just roofing specific, or is it like other home improvement contract? Like, because the roof is really what gets the brunt of that storm most of the times. Is it really just roofing?
It kind of depends on the area. Like Florida, I mean, there's insurance companies that have gone belly up. There are people that are pulling out of Florida, but roofing is one of the big ones because that and HVAC is the big ticket items that you get hit with in the case of a loss. So, yeah, it's getting bad out there.
Josh, what is like a time that like some adjuster appointments go really, really well, right? Do you have any ones that maybe as a homeowner would love to hear that didn't go as planned by the time you got there?
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's probably the biggest stories that guys like us have that have been doing this for a long time.
Here, the good side. What is the percentage of times it goes good?
I would have to say the majority of times that we meet with an adjuster, it goes well. And when I say well, I mean both parties agree, maybe there's not enough damage to completely replace a roof. But it's always good to, get the insurance to come out and take a look at it.
Explain what a good adjuster is.
A good adjuster is someone who completes an inspection. They actually will put boots on the roof. If I see a guy show up and he pulls a drone out of his car, not a truck, a car, especially if he's pulling up in a BMW or a Mercedes, which I've seen before. I've seen adjusters pull up in cars like that, and I immediately think he's a joke. He's just in the industry to do a bunch of inspections, deny some claims, and make a ton of money. He's working storms. But a good adjuster is going to get out. They're going to put a tool belt on. They're going to have the right tools to start to do a complete inspection, to be able to tell, exactly what materials are on the roof and how they can take care of replacing them. They're going to have a ladder. They're not going to have to call a ladder assist every time they need to get on a roof. And they're going to want to meet with the contractor. Anytime I hear an adjuster say they don't want to be there when a contractor is present, I know they've probably had some bad experiences, but that tells me that they don't know how to handle those bad experiences. They don't know how to deal with conflict.
Which is funny because, when my first couple of months of working here, that happened a couple of times where it was
Yeah.
I just overheard somebody saying, hey, Alex, the adjuster wants to meet you. I was like, oh, that's not good. But I guess that's
no, that's
great.
Like a good
thing.
I love that. When I hear an adjuster wants to meet me, that sets me at ease because I know he's probably going to speak the same language. I'm going to speak the same language as he is, and we're going to be able to help the homeowner right on site. It's not going to be a back and forth. He said, she said, they said. One person said there was hail damage. One person said it was wind damage, and now we're not sure what it's going to be. If I can meet with an adjuster, the odds are we are going to come to an agreement right there, or we're going to cordially disagree on the damages, and then we can go to the next step. But the important thing is making sure that the adjuster is on the same page in terms of performing an entire inspection, that they're not going to just dismiss it out of hand.
So even if a homeowner does file a claim and it goes really long, which we've just talked to recently, there's options like financing. What does that look like? So let's say you need a new roof and clearly the adjuster is being what word am I looking for? I get
Facetious.
But you have to have that new roof. If you get it, can you finance and then a year and a half down the road, if you ever get that check, you just pay off the financing for that roof? Or what's the best option for that?
So that is kind of a loaded question, and probably to explain that, you have to understand the concept of if you ask me to build a fence for you, I come out there and I build the fence. I either get a deposit or I do all of it at the end. But when I'm done, you just pay me the full amount, and we did business together. I'm going to say thank you, probably send you a thank you box, whatever it is, and then we go on with life. With roofing, for whatever reason, when insurance gets involved, it complicates the process of I do something for you and then you pay me money and then that's the end of it. Now that insurance is involved in me doing a roof for you, what happens is that we file that claim and then the insurance gives them so much money. Usually we have to negotiate or help the homeowner get to really what they're owed, because nationally they short claims by 30% of what they're actually should be owed for that roof. Okay. So all of this takes time, when in reality, it should just be you need a new roof. The insurance agrees that you need a new roof. They've taken our estimate and we've gone back and forth and we've agreed that it is a viable estimate. We're not trying to take advantage of them or charge more, like some of these guys are charging an astronomical amount and they don't even know their overhead. So they're just throwing out a number randomly. But when that happens, there's a lot of time that transpires in the middle. And just like in the office earlier, that was, I think, a year that they dealt with that claim. And finally, they're getting the insurance to pay the full amount. Well, we've been on the hook this whole time, and we want to do their roof. So you're talking about financing. If it's an emergency situation, homeowners aren't aware of the fact that, if the insurance is going to pay, you can get it tarped. We'll come out and we'll do the tarping and we can wait for the insurance to decide. But once they say they're going to pay and we agree on a number, even if you haven't got your money yet, as long as we have the number, you can finance the whole amount. So it's cost incurred. So once you finance that amount, you've actually incurred the cost of that. And then we can do the roof immediately and get you out of that emergency situation. And then the insurance will pay you the amount after the fact. We as contractors, for whatever reason, going back to like, I do the job for you and you pay me the full amount, like we get stuck where the insurance pays a portion, we do the work, and then we wait. On average, it's about 30 to 45 days if we're lucky. I know we've seen
that's kind of short right now.
And we as the contractor wait that long afterwards. We've already fronted all of the labor, material, and we're sitting there waiting for probably 40 to 50% of that job total for that much longer just to get paid on it. So it's an interesting dynamic in roofing. Financing kind of bridges that gap because ideally when we get to the end of a project, we need to get paid. So we ask homeowners as much as possible within 10 days, if you can get us, like basically we send a certificate of completion at the end that says this job is done, which is what the insurance company usually requires to release all of the money. And then we say, hey, you have 10 days. Like we've given you everything the insurance company needs. Get the money from the insurance. And that is our grace period instead of just saying this is due upon completion. When I get done with the roof, you write me a check. Because most homeowners don't have $15,000, $20,000 laying around just to pay for the roof. So financing bridges that gap of, hey, we need our money. And then you can get the money later. But another thing is with financing, let's say a homeowner has $10,000 in credit card debt on 27% interest rate. What they can actually do, because remember we talked about cost incurred. So you've incurred, let's say the job is $15,000. When you finance that full amount, you've incurred the cost of $15,000. We've just made the payment stretch out for 10 to 15 years, but you've incurred all of that. So the money the insurance company gives you, they're going to give you $15,000. Technically, you can cash that check and put it in your bank account and pay off your credit card debt. And let's say your interest rate on the home improvement loan for the roof is 8.99, 9.99% interest. You are actually saving money by doing it that route, and it helps us as the contractor with cash flow where we can get paid faster. So long answer to your question, but like financing helps, but it's more of like we've gotten into this weird thing as contractors where we're stuck in the middle of an insurance game when really we should just be the third party that's like, Mr. Homeowner, you have a need. We take care of your need and you pay us. But homeowners can't pay us till insurance company gets involved. So we're seeing a dramatic rise in financing, and we love it. We love helping homeowners, and a lot of them are just not educated in the sense of like, once you finance this amount with us, you can use that money for whatever you want.
And that interest rate is not crazy high like you would think it would be. Like,
no.
What are we talking?
It's just about the same as if you were to take out a HELOC, a home equity line of credit. It's typically between 9.99 and 11.99.
So you're not talking 20, 30%. As like your credit cards probably have higher interest rates than those.
Oh, for sure. Any credit card's going to start at like 24.99 and they just go up from there.
And we use certain companies. So how does this loan happen? Is it like a personal line of is it a line of credit, or how does the actual financing part work like with this company?
We've partnered up with a couple different companies, Moment and Upgrade Financing. It's an unsecured personal loan that's just designed for home improvement use. So it's a way for us to help them out. It's a way for those companies to help us out. It's kind of a win-win for everybody.
And some homeowners have bad credits. Like we've helped homeowners with bad credit too.
Absolutely.
Like it's not like my credit sucks so I can't get a new roof. Like still have us out. Like
yep.
I've heard countless examples of like people who think their credit's rough, and it might be, but you can still get that new roof. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Tell me one little thing. Last question is a lot. We've had this call a lot. I sit next to Deb, who answers all of our calls, so I hear it a lot. Is, hey, I'm buying this new house, and I'd really love you to come check out the new roof before I buy it. Explain why we don't do that, because we get that call 15, 20 times this year already. Like,
if it's somebody that's buying the house,
so I'm the homeowner, or
you're the buyer,
the house, and I don't own the house yet, and somebody else lives in it.
Yeah, so it's a big no-no for us because you don't own the property. You don't have a deed to the property. You can't authorize me to access your property for any reason whatsoever, unless the homeowner is agreeable to it as well. And then the homeowner typically is the one that would need to call in and give us that permission to access the property.
So if I'm buying a house,
it's trespassing.
yeah, in the house that I'm buying, the homeowner says, hey, you can have a company come out and look at the roof, and they call, we'll still do that.
Oh, 100%. If
But
the
it's just
homeowner
the time
calls
that-
us,
yeah.
it's literally just an access, a property access authorization. We don't want to be trespassing. I mean, if we access their
Yeah.
roof, and this guy comes walking out saying, "This is my house. What are you doing up there?"
Yeah,
you
and
can
the
call the police on us.
The market's getting hotter, and people are buying houses. So we'll probably get
Yeah.
that call a lot more. Just wanted to clarify that, like, if both parties are in agreement.
Oh,
we
happy
will
to
go
come
and
out and
do
take
it.
a look at it. There's a couple different things that need cleared up, though. We are not a home inspection service, so a lot of home inspectors would come out and they do a full inspection on the whole property. We are roofing specialists. We're there just to take a look at the roof, see what's going on with it, ascertain if there's any issues with it that would compromise the integrity of the roofing system as a whole. If we can come out, we can provide an estimate for any repairs or replacement of the roof. We don't charge to put an estimate together. If we do a full inspection and you need a copy of that inspection, that's what's called a roofer's opinion. That actually is a document that we go into a little bit more detail on the current condition of the roof, the type of roof, and we do charge for that. That's a pretty detailed service that we offer.
Awesome. Well, this podcast was brought to you by the Andy's Instant Quote. You can go to our website today, type in your address, give us your information. You get a quote on the spot in under 30 seconds, and you'll get a price on your roof. We'll come out, double check it, and then we'll get you on the schedule. So go do that today if you're curious about that. And we can price you out for some roof washing, too. Make your roof look brand new.